Welcome to The Pack, your gateway to the world of Patricia Briggs and the Mercyverse, where shifters, vamps, and fae rule. Magic hums just beneath the surface, and danger is always one heartbeat away. Now, let's run with the pack. Here are your hosts.
Welcome back to the Pack Podcasts. I'm Greg. Joining me is Hasna, who is under the weather today. And I just mean it's hot, right?
It's hot. It's really hot.
And how hot is it in London?
Well, today it reached up to 29, 30 degrees. So it's now starting to subside. But we're going to have another heat wave this week. I'm not looking forward to it.
Okay. And you'll have to do the conversions from Celsius to Fahrenheit.
Oh, I think it's about 80, 85. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And joining us from the great state of Canada is...
oh, please, no.
is Linda. How are things up in Canada?
In my country of Canada? Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It is always good to have you guys. You're always so much fun to be able to talk about this wonderful world of the Mercyverse. And it has been a little time since we have had a chance to get together and have some fun. And you guys know that this is just the funnest time of my week, is to be able to sit down and have a conversation about what is going on in the world of the Mercyverse. And we have some fun for you today, as we always do. A special guest is going to be joining us here in just a couple minutes, and I think you're going to like what we've got to share. A couple of quick notes, though, guys. We've had a nice surge in Patreon folks joining us. We had a really good after chat here, just a couple weeks ago. And,
that was really good.
Yeah, a lot of great people joining us. If you don't know about the after chat, we always do it the week after the podcast drops, and we do it through Patreon, and it's the top two levels. You have to have a certain level of membership. It's one of the benefits, the perks of membership. And you can pop in and we talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. Usually it's about the episode, but we do tend to get off track just a little bit sometimes. So... big shout outs to Sheena Badger James for joining Patreon this last time around. Karen, Cairn, H. Zara, Fiona M., Anne Marie Laramie, Andrew Evans, Don Roberto, Haley Dawson, and Karen Leduc. And I don't know if I mentioned these other two last time around, but I'll mention them again. Fulcrum 986 and Scott Morizot. Morizot. I don't know if it's a French pronunciation or not. So thanks to all of you for joining the Patreon. We do appreciate that. If you'd like to do that, be sure and jump in there. One of the perks, Linda, you always do a drawing once a quarter. And you said something about the next one's going to be...
No, actually, it's going to be a regular giveaway for podcast. But on the website, because of our special guest, we're going to do a special guest-centric giveaway through Patty's website, which is an extra to the podcast.
Okay, that's awesome. A couple bits of news. Hasna, you want to talk about
yes,
what's coming up?
Well, finally we have a title for the 7th Alpha and Omega book, which is called Still Rain, and it will be out on the 20th of April 2027. And Patty, at the moment, is still editing the manuscript, so hopefully we'll have more further details down the line. But, yep. Also, another note, because mass markets paperbacks are being phased out. The Still Rain will first be released as hardback, but the following year it'll be in a trade paperback edition. So it'll be slightly bit different from the mass market editions before.
End of an era, I guess.
Yes.
Wow, I had not heard that.
Yeah, publishers are moving away from mass market editions now, so a lot of books have been reissued, like backlist books have been reissued as they go out of print. So as trade paperback. So yeah, definitely end of an era.
I just noticed we talked last month about the fact that Jim Butcher's latest novella was coming out. I saw it in the bookstore here the other day, and it's paperback as well. It's kind of surprised me just a little bit.
What, trade paperback, not mass market?
Yeah, just trade paperback. So, but again, kind of surprised me that it wasn't a hardbound copy. But, that's what it is. One of the things that we've kind of touched on this a little bit in the podcast is the fact that in addition to the fact that Patty has to go, when she's written the book, she has to basically go back and rewrite the book again through the editing process.
Yeah.
And the other part of that is that somebody has to design covers for all these things. And I don't know what it is with the guy that does Patty's, stuff. You'd think that he would just have a backlog of this stuff, that he could just pull it out. But you know who I'm talking about. It's Dan DeSantos. And are you there, Dan? So you don't like have a backlog of like pictures you can just go yank out of the thing and have ready to go?
Mercy pictures of Mercy.
Yeah.
You would think that. For every cover we do, there's at least 2 alternates that we don't choose. I give all my clients at least 3 choices. And you would think some of those old ones would work, but they just don't. There's always something special about each book, and the characters are evolving, and very seldom does an old idea work for a new book.
So, ladies and gentlemen, our special guest this month is Dan DeSantos, and I mean no offense, my friend. You said you're a Star Trek fan. You're good enough for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So, talk a little bit about the whole process. Well, let's jump back. How did you wind up doing covers for Patty in the first place?
With Patty, so I'm a freelance illustrator, commercial illustrator, and book covers are my primary focus. So you start to build a name within the industry. It's a lot of the same editors and art directors working on different titles. So if I do a cover for Sanderson, then, that's the same art director that's commissioning an Octavia Butler cover or something like that. So I don't quite know. I'm trying to think back to that first job. I think I actually got it through an art rep. But Patty was fresh off Masks, I believe, and kind of had some success. Mm-hmm. And they were getting ready to do this new urban fantasy book that was kind of really a new genre unto itself. Not totally new. There was other stuff out there, but it hadn't really picked up steam yet. And they were trying to find a look for it. And I was kind of new on the scene with that first book. I think I'd been doing book covers for maybe 2 or 3 years at that point in my career. And I have a facility for painting kind of young, tough, badass ladies. And they thought I was a good fit for her. So they decided to kind of do this upstart book with an upstart artist.
And 20 years later, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the first one was so successful, and they had me back for the second, and it was more successful. And then by the 4th, Bone Crossed, it was so huge at that point that then it was hardcover, and they've just kept me on for all of Patty's things since then.
So you're kind of full of yourself now, right? Yeah.
Never. There's no. This is very little job security, and it's hard mixing your vocation with your passion. Nothing's ever good.
I was trying to look through some of the stuff that you've done, and it just absolutely fascinates me. And correct me if some of this is wrong, because you never know what you're going to get on the internet. Did you do some work for Disney and Universal Studios, both?
Oh, yeah. I've Disney owns pretty much everything now.
Well, of course, yeah.
But yes, I've had the chance to do lots of things. I've done pre-production concept art for Disney movies, like off the top, like Sorcerer's Apprentice, which was I don't want to say horrible. but the Nicolas Cage movie remake of the old Disney Fantasia thing. So I did like a lot of the costume designs and monster designs for that sort of thing. Universal, I think I did the Hellboy movie poster for them. A lot of things that, being a commercial illustrator, you kind of like throw your hat in a lot of different rings. It's not just
Wizards of the Coast.
A lot of Magic the Gathering.
You done a lot of Magic the Gathering cards, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So do I have to go through all my cards now and find out which ones are yours? Are they worth more?
You could search Star City Games. I've been doing Magic the Gathering since Cold Snap, if that means anything to any fans here.
Yeah.
And then most recently, I'm still doing it. I took quite a long hiatus to focus on book covers, but I still have my toe in those waters. Probably the most famous cards I've done that you might know are like Sword of Fire and Ice and Stoneforge Mystic.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess now I have to go through all my cards again.
Yeah. Well, you should be playing them.
Oh, no, I don't play. I've got a grandson who wipes my butt every time we play, so I just... Cards are gathering dust over here.
So I have a question about with all of the alternate covers and sketches that you've done, is there some time, in the future that maybe you might do a collection and release that? Because I know that, people would love it.
Yeah, I hope to. It's at the printers right now. I have a book coming out that collects all of my Marvel-themed stuff, all of my Marvel superhero things. And that same publisher wants to do a book with me focusing on my urban fantasy stuff after this one. And I suspect you'll probably see a lot of behind-the-scenes Mercy in that second book.
Oh, wow. Right. Yeah.
So is that Marvel Masterpieces? Is that...
Yes, that's that's primarily, in the comics genre, that's what I'm well known for, which is a trading card set that goes back to 1992. And I recently did 150 paintings for that set.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of it on your social media, and they look really good.
Oh, thanks. It's maybe the hardest job I've ever done. It was a painting every 3 days.
Wow. Because
That's
I saw on your website where, like, for book covers, it's like 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks it takes you.
Yep.
So I'm like, every 3 days is...
Yep, it was just 16-hour days. I basically just crammed a week into 3 days and did a painting as fast as I could.
That's amazing, honestly. Because the amount of detail and
Thanks. I'm proud of it. I wish I had more time, that I could have done my best job possible, but it was, like I said, it really was the hardest thing I've ever done. It was not healthy. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Was it monetarily healthy?
It's debatable. A lot of this. So the actual commission, no. I could be quite frank. They pay a pittance for card art, and Magic the Gathering is one of the best out there as far as card rates go. But even then, the amount of time, and I will say there's some remarkable artists working for Magic the Gathering. They spend way more time on their paintings than the budget actually warrants. And it's because the aftermarket is so healthy for those. So even though the Marvel Masterpiece may not have been a great commission, or Magic the Gathering might be a little lower than my average, the fans are so voracious afterwards that you can sell those originals and make back anytime you sink into that painting.
That's awesome.
That's why most artists still do that work for card companies.
So there is something to be said about starving artists.
I'm thankful not to be one, but yes. my adage, if you're a starving artist, you're probably just not hustling hard enough.
Let me ask a question about the this has come up in a couple of forums that I've been on recently. It talks about the woman who modeled for Mercy. Can you debunk anything for us there, or clear that up for us?
Yeah, sure. So we'll go back to that first cover. Maybe I got that job to do this cover, and like I said, it was kind of aloof, even in the description, because there's considerations. Authors don't get to do exactly what they want. artists don't get to do exactly what they want. They have to make sure they can sell this book. So if there's another book out there that's doing really well, and at this point, you probably had Sookie Stackhouse, you probably had Twilight, I think Dresden Files was gaining momentum.
Laura Kate Hamilton as well at the time.
Laura Kate Hamilton, the Cushiel series.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to speak to that audience. And they're trying to find a way, like, what can we do that's like Cushiel? Can we add a tattoo to this character? And that tattoo idea, like the paw print idea, was when they gave me the book description, they were like, oh, and we'd like for her to have some type of tattoo on her stomach. But there was we didn't know what it was. So they left it up to me to design something and come up with it. And I pitched them several ideas and showed them some sketches. And they were like, okay, let's do that. And we want something werewolfy in the background, but it can't be a werewolf. Because that would just turn people... You'll notice there's very seldom do we ever really show a werewolf on a Mercy cover or any monster. We've done that to the Cena once. But
you've done it on the comics.
On the comics, because comic people are okay with monsters. Book buyers, especially people who buy in the romance genre, it'll turn off a lot of audience.
Never thought about that before. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how the covers, some people really love them, where other people it's just, not quite their cup of tea.
The Mercy books are so full of monsters and magic and violence, and I think if we actually showed all of that on the cover, it would look more like a D&D book. It would look like some role-playing thing and less romance or romantasy or urban fantasy or whatever hints there are in that novel, So we kind of like... There's what's called genre markers in the industry, that somebody picks up a book and they know they like that book before they even read the blurb. And they know it because, oh, that's the type font I like. Oh, there's brambles and birds around the border. Or, oh, there's, tattoos on this girl, or whatever it is. So we really kind of designed that first cover around what we thought would be marketable. And then Patty went in and wrote in certain elements into the book to make sure it all jived and worked together.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
And it's iconic, that first cover. It's
it
amazing.
Inspired so many other covers within the genre. It literally did, and it stood out amongst other books. And I think it was part of the success of the Mercy series because it really was memorable. And I think with each cover, I love the fact that you added the tattoos as a theme of what the story is about. So I know we get a lot of questions like, why her tattoos are changing in each cover? And it's like, no, it's because it shows the themes. Like, why is she showing so much skin? Well, you need to show the tattoos, so therefore she is showing her skin. So, but to me, it illustrates the tone and the feel of the world that Mercy belongs to. So I think you did an amazing job because it's visual storytelling.
Thanks. More important to me than accuracy, and I tried to be accurate to the books. We know there's some artistic liberties, but it's the flavor. I don't want to misrepresent a book in any way. Is the person who likes this cover going to enjoy the inside of this book? I often think of it like a meal, a really good meal. Let's say you have like steak and peas and mashed potatoes or something. The cover can't be any one food. It's that when you eat a meal and there's that lingering flavor in your mouth afterwards, that's this amalgam of everything. I think books have that flavor, and I'm trying to find something that maybe doesn't speak to any specific scene, but feels like the flavor of that book.
Yeah, and the series also appeals to a crossover audience. Like, you've got the romance readers, and you've got the fantasy readers, and you've got the urban fantasy readers. So it gels all together. So it totally makes sense, and I think that's part of the success of the covers and the books, or why it appeals to people with those covers.
Thank you. And it really did. It hit a nerve. And then quickly after that, every book cover, everything in the urban fantasy genre started looking like Mercy pretty quickly.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to say that, after 20 years as an evolution of yourself as an artist, these covers have kind of maintained a consistency, even though you can see, the subtle differences as, your art has evolved. But has that been a hard thing to try and kind of keep them consistent like that?
It is hard. I can't even count how many Briggs covers I've done at this point, and even just Mercy alone, it's over 20 years that you start to repeat ideas, or you don't want to repeat ideas. You don't want to repeat colors. You don't want to repeat poses. So things are getting more restrictive. And meanwhile, you're growing as an artist, and Patty's growing, and you want to add these new things in without ostracizing the people that already enjoy what they like, So it is. It's a fine balance. And for me, I'm fortunate that Mercy, I locked in on her likeness. I had that model that Greg mentioned briefly.
Jamie.
Yeah. And so I was able to kind of... It's funny. Jamie is 20 years older now, but Mercy has not aged.
I know, right?
Jamie's like, could you do a little work on me here?
Yeah. And so I've actually, I don't hire Jamie anymore. She's in a different state now, and she would look like Mercy to me, but it's really, at this point, I'm kind of making her up or going back to old photos, because it wouldn't be the same person. It wouldn't be this eternally, 26 or whatever Mercy is in the stories now. How old is Mercy in the stories now?
She's about 35, 34.
30? Okay.
30, yeah.
She's aging very slowly.
Yeah,
maybe a year.
Yeah, it's very vague if she's if she doesn't age or not. So it doesn't.
But on that first cover, they asked me to come up with a tattoo idea, and I actually I dug up my original emails on that. And I had done some research about werewolves and shape-shifting, and there's an old Native American folk tale that if you drank the blood of a human from the paw print of a wolf, that there was some ability that you would take on the shape of the wolf. And I thought that was interesting. And so I had pitched that along with several other ones. That first round, and they went with the paw print, and we specifically made it red to kind of speak to that blood folklore. And I don't believe that ever made it into the stories, but that is where it came from. No, but
that's fascinating, though.
Yeah,
and it becomes iconic too, because I guess you guys, you and Patty, are headed down to Atlanta for the big show. And when you have cosplayers come up, that's got to be one of the iconic things is they've got to show their tattoos, right?
Yeah, and what? I see some really good Mercy cosplayers. I have yet to see an Anna and Charles. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do Anna and Charles.
Interesting.
Greg is speaking of DragonCon in Atlanta, and to answer your ladies' questions about unused ideas, Patty and I will be doing a lecture there, a panel, and we'll probably show a lot of the unused covers during that. We quite often do.
Fantastic.
So we're just out because we can't go to the show? Yeah. What's going on here?
That's it, yep.
We need a little preview of this PowerPoint presentation.
If you do a little digging, you can find it. I usually do a how-to on each cover, like a little step-by-step that I share on Patty's Facebook pages, and usually I have the alternate sketches in there.
Nice.
So do you see other cosplayers from your other covers, who
quite a bit.
Come up to you?
Now it's Sanderson galore. That's probably the biggest one. I also do a lot of, inside those books are fashion plates, they call them, that I just kind of show the clothing of the world, and I design all those. So pretty much everybody wearing any Alethi dress or anything like that is really cosplaying one of my drawings.
No, that's cool.
Nice.
It's probably going to be even bigger now because Apple's has bought the rights to one of his series, so watch out for that.
Yeah, I'm really stoked. I assume there's probably some overlap here. Maybe less so than... It's funny, I love both Briggs and Sanderson dearly. My wife does not enjoy Sanderson books at all. Loves Patty's books, and maybe it's just too hard a fantasy for her. But I do see some overlap in the fandom there, and I'm excited to see what Mistborn does for that.
So, what do you think about the evolution of it in the last 20 years? Is there anything that you would have liked to add to the artwork or change?
There's things I would change. I mentioned early on the Dresden Files thing. That's my buddy Chris McGrath does those covers. And so, like on that first book, and I know there's this whole thing with Dresden's hat, that he doesn't wear hats, and he always had the hat on the cover. They know that. They know it, but it's become a marker for the series, so they just embrace it. In the case of Mercy Thompson, when I first got that job, they had mentioned that she was half Native American, but they didn't really specify, or at least not in the draft I had or the briefing I had, was she Caucasian features with darker skin, or was she lighter skin with Native American features? And I think now that I've grown to know Mercy more, I would probably have made her a little darker complexion early on. And I kind of, you'll see in the more later covers, I fake things a little bit. I'm nudging her a little more to an olive complexion, or playing with the lighting in a way that might read like she has a slightly darker complexion than she did on those first 3 covers. Just because as it developed, it was starting to try to lock in on the likeness. And then the tattoos, like obviously everybody knows they're not really in the books. There's the paw print tattoo, there's the Celtic tattoos on her arms, and they're kind of unspecified. But that was purely a sales thing for the first book, and it worked so well.
So well.
We had to find a way to justify it on the second cover. And that's when we started saying, well, if Mercy's a shapeshifter, then maybe the tattoos can change. And this is all symbolic, and can we use this to... They wanted me to just do the same exact tattoos on the second book. And I had told them that would look a little boring and complicated, and maybe we could do something like change the tattoos and hint at what's in the second book, the way we did in the first one. And they liked it, so we've made that a thing now on every cover. And I know it's probably confusing for readers, but it's also, it probably attracts. I bet a lot of readers here probably wouldn't have picked up that first Mercy book if it weren't for all the tattoos.
Oh, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah. I know for me personally, that's what caught my eye.
Yeah.
And that's why I grabbed the book. So
a good cover.
Kudos to you.
Sell.
So.
Yeah.
But I think I'm one of those, and I think there's so many of us that love to see. That's the big thing with the cover reveals, is what are the tattoos going to be?
Yes, because it's like the little clues about the story and what are the themes. So, like the bats signifies vampires, and then the wolves are basically, are werewolves, and so I really like that.
Awesome, good. I'm glad people are looking for it, because I try to hide as many Easter eggs as I can in there, without giving too much away, and sometimes there's just odd little things that hide in there, including my initials. It's usually where I had my signature in most of my paintings, is in Mercy's tattoos.
Yeah, we got to look for them.
Yeah.
So this means I have to go drag all my books back out again and go.
Oh, we should, Greg.
All right.
Get a magnifying glass.
Hey, everybody. Dan DeSantos has been joining us here on the Pack Podcast, and I know Dan's kind of under a bit of a time frame here, so we want to be respectful of his time that we have with us. Have you guys got one last question you want to ask Dan before we let him go?
Linda, you go ahead.
No pressure.
No pressure, Linda. No pressure.
No, I just want to say that, we are going to do a Dan-centric giveaway on Patty's website.
Ooh, awesome.
Just to celebrate, your art, and to give to people that maybe haven't had that opportunity to own it, to get that chance. So be sure and check that out.
Can we spoil what the giveaway might be?
Some tote bags, some posters.
Oh, awesome.
I think.
Do you want some, Dan? We know where we can get some.
I was going to say, if it's that, I can toss in an extra one to give away. I'll mail it to Patty and let her handle it. I'll send her an extra poster or bag.
Oh, thank you so much, Dan.
Or do you guys handle shipping? Should I send it to you?
I'll send it to Patty.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll let Anne take care of it.
I love contributing to giveaways and just fandom. I got to say, Patty's fans are and I'm not exaggerating when I say this. They're the best fans I've ever met of any of the books I do covers for. And they tend to be avid art lovers, which is nice.
That's good.
Yeah, love your art.
Yeah. If I don't know if you've been or seen Anne's place. Anne has, Patty as well. They both have your art on the wall. I mean, it's just very prominent, and it speaks to the fact that they love your art as much as people love their books. And I think that's great, Dan. And it's not a brand new Patty book unless we also do an unveil of the artwork. And I know that's just as much a part of the whole thing as the title and the contents of the book. So, looking forward to seeing what else you come up with for the next 20 years.
Thank you. I do think of her as those covers as my babies a little bit. During that Marvel job, I said no to all other commission work for a couple years except the Mercy covers. And I was like, I can't let this go in the middle of all this. So I love doing them every time.
Oh, that's
we're glad that you're still, yes, because it's very rare to have an artist that consistently stays with a long-term series with the same artwork. So I love it. I love your artwork.
All right. Well, be sure and check out the Patty website. Check out social media for all of the Patty different. We have a couple different places on the web that you can do that. Also, the Patreon page. Be sure and check that out. We may throw one of those things into our next drawing that we're going to do, quarterly drawing. Yeah. Be sure and check out all the different Patreon levels. The pup, the pack member, the alpha, the walker. We may have to add another level that'll be the Dan level or something. And Dan, we want to say thanks for taking a few minutes and spending some time with us. We want to do it again because there's a lot more questions I have for you, my friend. Yeah,
it's well, if you had any, I'm not in a terrible rush right now, but thanks for hanging tight for me, Greg. I know you've asked for quite a long time, and it seems like every day there's something, but I'm glad we finally made the time for this.
Glad we are, and we'll just plan to do it again, and we'll just keep asking questions, okay?
If I might add before we go, if anybody's going to be at DragonCon, like we mentioned, both Patty and I will be there. We're doing a panel. I'm working on the Steel Rain cover right now, and I think we might have a spoiler ready in time for DragonCon.
Fantastic. So, yeah, that's September 3rd to September 7th in Atlanta.
Yep, in Atlanta, Georgia. Yep.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to, I think Patty might read a little excerpt, and I'm going to show some concepts for the cover.
Nice.
So if you're close, you guys better go.
I've never been to been to DragonCon before. It might be tempting.
Oh, yeah, you're missing out, Greg. It's a good con.
Yeah, one of the best.
All right. All right, guys, be sure and check out the website and pattybriggs.com, and we would love to have you.
PatriciaBriggs.com.
I'm sorry, PatriciaBriggs.com.
Oh, my gosh, don't send people to a different website.
My familiarity is showing, isn't it? PatriciaBriggs.com, and by all means, check out the Patreon page because you want to get part of the whole realm of us. You want to be part of the pack. So
yeah, and also check out Dan's website, www.dandesantos.com. He's got a store if you want to buy some of his artwork, see his portfolio and things like that. So he also has a Patreon.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
See, I knew we'd stick around long enough. We'd cover all the bases. All right, guys. With that, Linda Hasna, thank you so much for your time. Dan, thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
All right, guys, and we will see you again next month right here on the Pack Podcasts. So long,
thanks,
everybody.
Dan. See you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
The shadows are stirring, and our time together has drawn to a close, at least for now. But the pack is never far away. When the moon rises again, we'll be here waiting. Thanks for running with the pack. The Pack Podcast is a Grail Productions show. Copyright 2026. Hearog Incorporated. All rights reserved.